We met our next guest 5 years ago. We've asked him to come back on the show and help us celebrate our 5-year anniversary. Dr. Murenbeeld is the chief economist at Dundee Capital Markets, and he joins me today. Dr. Murenbeeld, thanks for being back with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Let me just say before we start, the congratulations to Kitco on 5 years. And I'm sure that I speak for many of the Kitco followers when I say that one of the first things I do every day is go to the Kitco site and look at the charts that you have there.
Thank you for those words. So, Dr. Murenbeeld, when we spoke for the first time in 2009, we looked at some of the factors that were pushing gold prices higher, and we looked at, of course, money printing. Today, I'd like you to look at some of the factors that are pressuring gold.
Okay, with respect to gold, indeed, yeah, in 2009, the printing, that is the policy reflation as a reaction to the Great Recession, was very critical to the sharp move up in the gold price from late 2008. I think it's worth noting, because it also reflects where we are today, that gold fell about 30% during the Great Recession. And that's something that I think is important. And I do get some feedback on that from time to time when I say that recessions and slow world growth just in and of themselves are not favorable for gold prices, nor are they favorable for other commodity prices. And so that's one of the things that is in the background to what has happened over the last couple of years with respect to gold.
So, Dr. Murenbeeld, you were a keynote speaker during the Denver Gold Forum where you really echoed a different point of view. You were speaking about the U.S. dollar and how you feel it's fundamentally overvalued, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And this is a really different viewpoint from other economists I've interviewed who feel that the U.S. dollar rally is here to stay. How come you have this, I guess, alternative stance?
The reason that the dollar is fundamentally overvalued is if you look at the various external accounts of the United States, and I put these charts out regularly, but for example, the deficit with Europe is around 140 billion. But with these trade deficits, you can see that, of course, this damages growth in the U.S. economy. So all of this kind of comes together where the dollar is a little bit too pricey for the U.S. economy. It's been estimated that the U.S. has lost anywhere from 1 to 5 million jobs because of the overvalued dollar. And I'm hopeful that at some point in the foreseeable future, we're going to get a major correction in the U.S. dollar.
And in turn, your gold forecast for 2015 was $1,335 an ounce, which some would argue is bullish compared to other forecasts that we've seen recently. Is part of the reason you're looking at that target in line with your theory that the U.S. dollar is overvalued?
Well, you have a number of factors, but that's one of them. Now, to be honest, in our baseline, we have the U.S. dollar rather flat. We don't really have it come off. That would be more a scenario C. That is our really very bullish dollar scenario where we actually have the dollar come off. But one of the things that tends to be overlooked, although you can find it directly in the Fed papers, is that the real interest rate in the United States, particularly at the short end, is going to remain negative right through 2015. Furthermore, you're getting more liquidity expansion in Europe. Definitely it is on the books for the ECB to do some form of QE. You've got Japan pushing hard, and the Bank of China is, all things considered, relatively easy. So you will have significant additions to global liquidity. And that's one of the key factors in our model, in our forecast.
Dr. Murenbeeld, do you think the gold market has already taken into account the Fed's next moves?
Well, it's an interesting question, and I've just written a piece where I raise that question, because gold fell about 29% in 2013, around the time of what we call the taper tantrum. So when I put some charts together and I run models and so forth, it seems to me that indeed the gold price reacted already then to what we expect may be coming. So I'm thinking that the market jumped the gun last year, and that in retrospect, we're going to say, hey, there's not that much more downside in gold on the basis of what the Fed is doing. The recent downside in gold has actually more to do, in my opinion, with the demands in Europe and Japan for lower currencies. They're moving the dollar up. Now, that degree of pressure from Japan and Europe, I had not counted on.
So you think this could signal the bottom for gold?
Well, it's possible. This is possible that certainly if the Treasury took the tack that the US dollar had risen enough and shouldn't rise more, then indeed I would say this is the bottom for gold.
You mentioned QE in Europe, but what about the possibility of QE4? Could we see a QE4 in the US?
QE4? No, I don't think it is on the books. I mean, it would be a very small probability event were that to happen. Now, clearly, as we're seeing, over in recent days, the equity markets falter as badly as they have. And, to the degree that they are leading indicators, it probably gives us some indication that growth in the U.S. is not going to be as strong as people have generally anticipated. But I don't think that there is any taste, if you will, on the Federal Reserve Board for another QE. I think the next point that the Fed is going to have to consider is some kind of fiscal policy initiative, and what I'm hopeful is some kind of dollar policy initiative.
Very good thoughts from you today, Dr. Murenbeeld, and thank you for helping us celebrate our 5-year anniversary and for being one of the first guests ever on our show. Thanks.
Oh, you're more than welcome, Danielle. Always a pleasure.
And thanks for watching our continued Celebration Week, 5 years in the making. Kitco News will have one last interview celebrating our anniversary tomorrow. Alex Letourneau will interview our final mystery guest, so stay tuned to find out who it is. Thanks for watching.
Well, my heartiest congratulations to all of you at Kitco News. You have been just a phenomenal news service to the industry and appreciated by all of us, and you do fabulous interviews, timely topical subjects, and the best of congratulations on this 5th anniversary.